Good morning, students. I am Pushkar Paritosh, and today we will start a new chapter, resources and development. So, students, in our day-to-day life, we use different items, we use various items to make our life more comfortable. For example, we use fans, we use beds to sleep, we use chairs, we use vehicles for transportation. So these all are resources. These all are resources. Now, what is the exact definition of resource? Let us see. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided the condition is it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. So let us understand in detail. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, but the condition is that it is technologically accessible. What does this mean? Technologically accessible means we have the technique, we have the technology to get that resource. Another thing is economically feasible. What does this mean? Economically feasible means I am giving you an example. For example, we have a B grade iron ore in India somewhere, and A grade iron ore is cheaper than that B grade iron ore. If we extract that iron ore, we have to pay more. We have to spend more on that B grade iron ore which is available in India. But if we purchase A grade iron ore, we have to pay less than that B grade iron ore which is present is not economically feasible. So the resources must be economically feasible. After that we can use them, and after that only they are resources for us. Now the third point is culturally acceptable. Culturally acceptable means what? The resources must be culturally acceptable. For example, if a resource is technologically accessible, if a thing is technologically accessible, economically feasible, but if it is not culturally acceptable, then it is not a resource for us. So, students, I hope that you understood the definition. Now, let us move to the next point. There is a diagram in your book. Physical environment, institution, technology, and here human beings. So this figure is given in your book, and what does this figure tell us? this figure tells us that human beings interact with nature, interact with physical environment using technology. Human beings interact with physical environment, that is nature, using technology and create institutions to accelerate economic development. I am repeating this: human beings interact with the physical environment using technology and create institutions to develop economically. Okay, so the most important resource is human beings themselves. Human beings are the most important resource, because if there were no human beings, then there are no use of resources. There is no use of resources. So resources are a function of human activities. Resources are a function of human activities means what? Human beings, as I said, that human beings interact with the physical environment using technology and make institutions. So these are the human activities, and by doing these activities they create resources, they create their economic development. Human beings are important, essential components of resources. So I think you have understood this, that human beings are the most important resources themselves. Okay. Now let us see the another function of human being. They transform material available in our environment into resources and use them. So this we have already studied. Now let us see another point. How can we classify resources? So there are many bases on which we can classify resources. The first basis is resources can be classified the first one is on the basis of origin. It means what? From where these resources originated. So on this basis we have two types of resources. The first one is biotic and the second one is, you know very well, abiotic. So what is biotic resource? Biotic resource means what? The resources that we get from living organisms, or you can say the living organisms are themselves biotic resources. Now, what are abiotic resources? Abiotic resources are the resources that we get from non-living things. Okay, you know it very well. You have studied this in junior classes. Now the next basis, let us see. The next basis is on the basis of exhaustibility. So can you guess how many types of resources are there on the basis of exhaustibility? So exhaustibility means what? The resources, which resources get exhausted and which do not. So the types of resources on the basis of exhaustibility, we have two types of resources on the basis of exhaustibility. One is renewable and the other is non-renewable. So students, you have already studied this. What are renewable resources? The resources that can be renewed are termed as renewable resources. For example, solar energy, wind energy. So they are renewable resources. Now what are non-renewable resources? The resources that cannot be renewed. It is not very true. They can be renewed, but they take millions of years to be renewed. That's why we say that they cannot be renewed. For example of non-renewable resources are coal, petroleum, natural gas. So these are the non-renewable resources. Now let us move to the next basis. The next basis is on the basis of ownership. So you understand very well what is ownership. So who owns the resources? On this basis, resources are classified into three types. Into four types. On the basis of ownership, the resources are classified into four types. The first one is individual. The next one is community. And third one is national. And the last is international. So you will study these all types in details, but let us just see. Let me introduce you this type of resources. Individual means what? Individual means the resources which are owned by an individual. For example, there are lands, there are fields in the villages which farmers own. So they are individual resources. Community resources means what? The resources which are owned by a community. For example, a children's park, a temple, a mosque. So these are community resources. Like that, national. So what are national resources? The resources owned by a nation. For example, in our country, railways. Railways is owned by India. Our country, it is not owned by an individual, a community, or a state. Railway is owned by a nation in our country. So this is an example of national resource. Like that, the last one is international, the resources which are owned by the whole world. The next basis is on the basis of status of development. So on this basis, we have four types of resources. The first one is stock. Stock is a type of resource on the basis of status of development. Now the next is potential resource. Again, we have reserves, and the last one is developed. So we will study these all types of resources in detail. Now students, let us understand the various resources in detail. On the basis of origin, we have two types of resources. One is biotic and the other is abiotic. So biotic resources are obtained from biosphere and have life, such as human beings, such as flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. So you have already studied this. Abiotic resources are resources which are composed of non-living things. For example, air, water, land. So these are abiotic resources. Now let us move to the next basis, which is on the basis of exhaustibility. So these two you have already studied in junior classes, renewable resource and non-renewable resource. So renewable resources are the resources which are renewed or replenished, or you can say reproduced by physical, chemical or mechanical processes. I am repeating this: the resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical or mechanical processes are called renewable resources. For example, solar energy, wind energy, so this can be renewed. Now the next is non-renewable resources. So non-renewable resources are the resources which occur over a long period of time. What does this mean? Coal takes millions of years to be formed. Like this, all the metals, petroleum, so these are the resources which take millions of years to be formed. That's why they occur over a long period of time and they are called non-renewable resources. In this type of resource, metals can be recycled, while fossil fuels cannot be recycled. What does this mean? We can recycle metals and use them again, but fossil fuels cannot be recycled. For example, petrol. This comes from crude oil, and when you fill up your bike's tank with the tank of the bike with petrol, and when you start the bike, the petrol which is consumed cannot be returned back. The petrol which is consumed in the bike or the diesel which is consumed in a car, they cannot be returned back, they cannot be used again, and that's why they cannot be recycled. Now the next topic is on the basis of ownership. So the first type of resource is individual. Individual means what? The resources. Individual resources are the resources which are owned privately by individuals. For example, as already I have given you an example, farmers in villages own private lands, private fields. So they are individual resources. In urban centers, in urban areas, people own plots, buildings, so they are also individual resources. Now let us move to the next, community owned resources. What are these resources? These are resources, the community owned resources are the resources which are accessible to all the members of a community. For example, burial fields. A burial field is allowed for all the members of a particular community. Like that, grazing fields, grazing grounds, the grazing grounds are also available for all the members of a community. Again, public parks are also allowed for the public, and that's why they all are called community owned resources. Now let us move to the next, which is national. So there, in this type of resource, you have to understand that technically all the resources belong to the nation. You might have seen that railways are built on a privately owned field. You might have seen the roads are built on the privately owned land. So technically all the resources in the nation belong to the nation. Urban Development Authority has been given the charge. This authority is empowered to acquire land. This type of. So the next topic is national resources. Technically, all the resources in the nation belong to the nation. For example, you might have seen that roads are built on a privately owned field. You might have seen that railways are built on a privately owned land. So all the resources technically belong to the nation. All the resources which are within the nation, they belong to the nation. Urban Development Authority is empowered to acquire lands in India. All the minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife within the political boundaries and oceanic territorial water up to 12 nautical miles, which is equal to 22.2 kilometer from the coast are termed as territorial water, and resources therein belong to the nation. So again, I am repeating this: all the minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles, that is 22.2 kilometer from the coast, are termed as water, territorial water, and resources therein belong to the nation. Now the last point is international resources. So the name suggests that what are international resources, but there is a definition of international resources which is given in your book. and you should learn that all the oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open sea. All the resources beyond 200 nautical miles from the exclusive economic zone belongs to open sea, which means that no country has the right to acquire the resources in this region. These resources belong to the world. These resources are international resources.